Today I'm going to show you how to make a fabric rose. You can make several and bunch them together like this. You can use them singly in a headdress or just on a headband. You can make them with several different colors. Like you can see, this one is bronze and gold, or out of cotton for a casual headband. You might want a larger rose like this if you're doing something very dramatic. You can put a pearl in the middle or a diamond, and they're really beautiful. So I'm going to show you quickly how to make these. You start with a length of fabric. Now, the fabric will be about 5 inches wide. Fold it over so that you have a creased edge on top. And then on one end, fold it over, depending on the size. If you're making a larger rose, you'll fold it over about 4 inches. If it's a smaller rose, maybe about 3. And the size of the rose is completely determined by the length. So I've kept these short for demonstration purposes, but a really nice size rose, such as this, is about 30 inches long. And this will be about 2.5. Now, right up here is going to be the petal part. The bottom part here is really just to hold on to while we assemble the rose. But the first thing you're going to do, after you've cut it out, is stuff along the petal part. And you just take fiberfill, regular old fiberfill that you can find anywhere, and you put it up into the petal part of the rose. All the way down, just like that. And then you can pin it to hold it into place while you're stitching it. Just a quick pin, just like that. And you do it all the way down. Once you have done that, you're going to stitch all the way along the petal part of the rose, just like I've done here. Stitch all the way down, and when you get to the end of it, gather. Gather it to about half the length of whatever the size of rose that you decided you needed. Gather it like that. Not this part, that's going to be the bud here. And once you've gathered it, fold over the end and make a nice finished end. Take your needle and just do a quick little stitch to hold it in place. Now these roses are made with very little sewing. From this point, we're going to use hot glue. So that's what you've got. Now, cut that off, and we're going to start down here at the bud area. Now here, cut off the tip. That gives us a good place to start creating the bud. And what you do is just take your hot glue gun, starting, we're just going to put a little bit here to give us a place to start rolling the bud. Satin, like this rose is a satin rose, is very slippery, and don't be careful with hot glue, it's very hot, is very slippery, and I like to give myself a good place to start. So once I have that done, I'm going to roll the rose. And you just start rolling it into a spiral. Once you have your first roll, and you can see, hopefully you can see, that spiral starting, take your hot glue gun and put just a dab right in there. Just a little dab. Now you don't want to bring glue down into this part of the rose. That we will be cutting off later. So roll again. Watch how your spiral is forming. And with every roll, while you're doing your spiral, you put a little dab to hold it in place. Not too much. And then you continue to roll it. Now kind of keep an eye on it. You might have a few little tucks forming, that's okay, because you want this to look like a rose, and roses are not perfectly symmetrical in nature. I continue to roll. You can see how that's beginning to form, and with every roll I'm going to put a little dab of hot glue right there. Hot glue is a wonderful thing, but it's very hot, so be careful not to touch it. Now I'm coming to the end of the bud, into the petal part. Now remember, the top part where we stitched is the petal part. So I'm going to hold it here, and you can use your stitched area as a guide and apply a line of glue. Start with about 1 inch. You don't want to get too far ahead of yourself. And continue rolling it around. Let the gathers form the petals. Just like that. Now hold it, let it cool. And if you need a few more gathers, you can always do that as you go. And right along, nice hot glue line along the basting, and just continue to roll that rose around. And you can see this lovely little bud starting to form. Now squish it in to make sure there's good contact. So I'm going to push in, and as it cools, it will form a nice solid rose that will never come apart. The thing about hot glue is if you don't hold it till it cools, it can kind of come loose and be messy. So just take the few minutes it takes, or seconds really. Roll that rose right on over, just like that. Oh, lovely little rose. Now you might want to have more gathers in your rose. That's fine too. I actually could have put a few more gathers in this. I think I'll go ahead and just gather it with my hands to compensate for that. It's really hard to make a mistake because it's not like it has to be perfect. It has to look the way you want it to look. And you have complete control before that glue sets on how those petals are going to fall. Now this is a very tiny rose. Most of them I make are much bigger than this, but for demonstration purposes and to keep this simple, I've made a tiny little rose, which I'll find some use for. Now here we're coming to the end, and this is why we fold over the very end. Bring it right around, and then it just tucks right in, and you have this beautiful little rose. Now these look lovely with a pearl right in the center, or a diamond, or as in this rose here, I added little rhinestones just to the rose to make it a little fancier. This is the one, you see that? This is a wedding headdress, so I put pearls in it, or it can just be left alone. I use these for headbands, for wedding headdresses, for my granddaughter's headbands. She just loves to have giant roses on her head, and I will do hers in every color imaginable. I've even done a triple color pink rose that turned out very well. Now once the glue has set and your rose is done, be sure to cut it off down below. You want to cut it off and make it as flat as possible. You can see the rolling inside there. You do not want that to stick up on the headband when you glue it or whatever you're going to put it to. So get yourself a good pair of scissors and just trim away until you have a nice flat rose. And there you are. To see more crafts, visit my website, create with a 8, CREATE, coolstuff.com. Have fun!